Beautiful Tuesday, September 27th. It's 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central European time. We'll give it a minute for people to start trickling in, and then we'll kick off the session today. We are very excited about lots of the stuff that's going to happen today. Cannot wait for you guys to experience it. Actually, let me kick off things here. Share screen. Boom. All right. So, first and foremost, welcome everyone again. We'll give it a couple minutes. Meanwhile, people start to connect and get in the right spirit here to listen through these incredible sessions that we have ready. We have really a simple idea with regards to Hot Takes Live. It's short, actionable, counterintuitive, insightful take on things that these speakers have been experiencing and living through, and maybe talking about over and over again. And now they're like, all right, let's go on the record with this. And we wanted to keep the format relatively tight, but the topic relatively open. This is something that we have been experimenting with for a while on our website. There's a section called Hot Takes Live. Feel free to Google it. There are a few takes that we have been writing about over the past few weeks. We've been finding good success on two sides. On our side, they are like easy to write, easy to get packaged up and published. And on the audience side, for readers, they're actually very easy to digest. And so we thought, why don't we expand the conversation here? How do we make it interesting in a way that other people, other operators in the space can wade in with their own hot takes, right? And so couldn't be more excited about introducing you Hot Takes Live today, first edition. We have a whole lot of speakers, 24 speakers, over 4 tracks. You see here the first part. There are 3 sessions for each and every one of those parts. There are really functions, roles across marketing, sales, growth, operations. I'll give you a second to kind of skim through the titles here, orientate yourself, whether you're more interested in one topic, one function, one department, or another. Really, there is a little bit for everyone here. And also lots of roles at a exec level, so CXO, as well as VP level, as well as director and senior director level. We wanted to keep it really informed through people experience, years under their belt, managing people, managing budget, delivering results for organizations across the board. So 3 sessions, 10 minutes each, plus 5 minutes Q&A, leading into lunch break, as you can see here. And then we'll open up to the second part of this event today. After lunch, there will be a speed networking session. If you are interested in participating into it, highly recommended, of course. And then the usual 4 tracks that we talked about previously, and those 3 sessions for each and every one of those tracks. You can see here as well, very thought-provoking titles. So get excited. There are topics, with regards to product-led as well as growth, and then sales and marketing and ops. So really making this as interesting, counterintuitive, spicy, as well as educational as possible. That will lead into the wrap-up to the session today, which is going to be around 2 p.m. Pacific, Eastern, and 5 p.m. Pacific. So in the spirit of this, we wanted to share our own hot take, first and foremost, to kind of kick off the conversation in the right way, right? And here it is. Your next boss might be an algorithm. So a little bit about me. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Breadcrumbs. I'm a 3 times entrepreneur, a 2 times senior leader at later stage organizations, as well as an angel investor in 300 plus companies. And well, we think a lot about the future of go-to-market, obviously, particularly the future of the go-to-market stack. And there are several macro trends that are not even the future anymore, but really the present that we've been observing. Number one, the Daft Punk law, that's what we call it, impacting everything. Number two, some observations around employees management, particularly cost, tenure, expertise, and then consumer machine learning and AI that actually really works right now. So let's unpack and double click each and every one of this. The Daft Punk law, I'm sure some of you will remember the song from Daft Punk. It was harder, better, faster, stronger. It's crazy to think that it's back from 2001. It's more than 20 years old. I don't even want to mention that. But it's really everywhere when it comes to technology, right? And everyone can see ever increasing data available across the board for any company, ever increasing tech stack complexity, ever increasing customer expectations, as well as ever increasing speed of change and ever increasing cost of acquisition. So yeah, it's a lot. And the complexity is only increasing, of course. On the flip side, if we look at employees management, a few observations there. From a cost point of view, interesting to observe that the average tax salary in 2022 hit the 6-figure mark for the first time in 17 years. And tenure-wise, 9 out of the 10 prominent companies with the shortest tenure employee-wise are in the internet and software section. This is a resume.io analysis of LinkedIn data as of February this year. And I pull out some names for you. I'm sure you will recognize them. So Coinbase, the company with the shortest tenure ever, 0.8 years. Reddit, 1.2 years. Google and Zoom, 1.3. Snowflake, 1.4. Amazon, 1.5. Meta, 1.7. HubSpot, Activision, and Shopify, 1.8. And Atlassian, 1.9 years. Finally, expertise-wise, well, nearly 1/3 of employers agree that the skill gap has increased from a year ago. And 87% of them, that's 5 out of 6, report they have trouble finding qualified talent as a result. As a last macro trend, we talked about consumer machine learning and artificial intelligence. Well, there are a couple prime examples here. The first one being TikTok, right? It has been blowing up over the past few years, winning hands down on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, really through a programmatic algorithmical approach. It surfaces the best videos, the most entertaining one, the most engaging, the most fun, tailor-made for you from all over the world, regardless of your friends' network. And the second one being OpenAI, specifically DALL-E. I'm sure many of you operators have been keeping an eye on it. Specifically, DALL-E can translate or take a string of text and translate that into a very credible, very artistic, very creative image. It's actually quite impressive. So let's get into the meat of the hot take here, right? So technology always has meant 3 things. Has a layer of scalability, of efficiency, of reliability that people cannot deliver. Also, every consumer technology finds its way to the B2B world eventually. And so from a go-to-market point of view specifically, that kind of roughly identifies 3 eras or ages, right? Yesterday, a time where most of go-to-market operators would think in kind of a madman ethos kind of way. And then today, everyone can observe ops as the emerging category. And tomorrow, this is the bet. This is where I'm thinking we are headed toward, this idea of integrated adaptive go-to-market. Let me unpack this. So yesterday, people had the intuition and or the insights based on experience to move the needle. People would make decisions and execute on them or manage other people to that purpose. And that was okay. It was, not really efficient, not really scalable, not really reliable. But what was the alternative back then? And then today, intuition has been replaced by data, and now insights are progressively replaced by machine learning and AI. People make decisions, software executes, and then people operate on or around the software. That's increasing the level of efficiency, scalability, and reliability. Still not ideal, still not perfect or great, but better in terms of the past. So tomorrow, this is again my bet, my hot take, where I think the direction is that we're heading toward is software will start contributing to making decisions and as well as operate people and other software. People will make software assisted decisions and really focus on those non-softwareized yet areas which will be progressively shrinking. And as a trade-off, this will be progressively efficient, scalable, and reliable, which is interesting in this point of view. So the other question with regards to the hot take is, okay, what does this mean? What does a world of ever-increasing go-to-market complexity and progressively commoditized, modularized, reliable intelligence look like? I can see at least three implications, right? One, as a company executive. Two, as an entrepreneur. Three, as an operator. So as a company executive, the best-in-class companies will be the ones able to tighten the loop between input, decision, execution, learning, and iteration to as close to real time as possible. And this is across the entire organization. Incentives, in fact, are toward a very agile organization with a smaller, flatter core team of hyper-specialized, higher leverage employees surrounded by software and freelancers and agencies. As an entrepreneur, I think there is a once in a lifetime opportunity at the intersection of intelligence, data, and go to market to solve friction points that historically have relied on operators' experience and insights. And it's really a new category of premium price tools with out of the box expert services, bridging the knowledge gap for companies and operators and enabling lower seniority employees. And for operators, it's maybe the most counterintuitive part of my hot take here. I think junior operators will be able to have larger impact faster thanks to being augmented by tools, but to the detriment of acquiring seniority and experience in the function. While the mid-management layer will be the one more under pressure to mature into a senior role, owning not only budget and people, but the actual operational side of these new tools as well as their results. So there you have it, my hot take. If there is one key takeaway, one soundbite is this one. In a world with commoditized, modularized, reliable intelligence, the highest value contribution is not making any one single decision anymore, but rather setting up the framework through which these decisions are automated, made in an automated way. That's it from my side. Let's open it up for Q&A. I think Gary from my team is going to jump in here and we're going to have a little conversation. Feel free to write your questions in the comments as well, and happy to take it from there. Gary, here you are.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks, Armando. That was interesting. And yeah, just to echo that, everyone, please feel free. Definitely interested to hear from the audience. Armando's anxious to answer any questions you might have. I guess my first question, Armando, for you is, like, how soon? How soon do you think this is a reality? Is it right now? Yeah.
It's a really good question. I was actually thinking about putting kind of timelines in the deck, and then I was like, maybe not, because of course that's a question mark that no one has an answer to. But I think sooner than we think, sooner than we expect. Some of this type of solutions that I was mentioning in terms of like out of the box, like new tool, new categories with an intelligence layer on them, they're really starting to bubble up already. They are kind of rudimentary as of now. They will get better over time. But I would say 3 to 5 years from now, this will be a reality. Again, if you think back to that consumer ML AI thing that is here at this point and got here faster than we thought. We've been talking about it for a while, and for a while it didn't really go anywhere, and then suddenly it was.
Right. 100%. Like, and in the consumer realm, I agree with you. It's you're texting and you're not purposely, but it's all coming out as random letters, and it knows what you're trying to say, and you don't even worry about typing correctly.
Yeah.
And everybody just takes that for granted, right? Like that type of experience is definitely not far in the B2B world. But I guess just to elaborate on your takeaway, right? What can people do now this new reality?
Oh wait, you froze for a second. What can people do now
to be better positioned to be leaders in this new reality?
I think I was actually thinking about this, and I think there are a couple implications that I would mention. Number one, this idea of leveling up instead of like thinking about the specific decision, thinking about the decision framework and how you can enable software to make the best possible decision. To some degree, this is not very different from the current definition of culture, right? Like company culture, every leader that has a team has this idea of, okay, how do I enable my team to make decisions when I'm not in the room? Right. And so how do I enable that culture to happen in a repeatable way? And software takes this to the nth level, right? It's like a couple orders of magnitude bigger, because at that point you have something that's making decision way faster than you can control. And you get the output of that at some point later in time when everything is said and done. And so in that sense, how do we make this idea of culture and decision framework more practical, more actionable? And for operators to start getting comfortable in not being the sole decision maker anymore, like not being only people that make the decision, but software contributing to those decisions, informing those decisions, relying on software for those recommendations.
Yeah,
it's an entirely new muscle that doesn't really exist and never existed before.
Yeah. Well, that actually dovetails really nicely into an observation or a comment from Heather, who's joining us from my new hometown of Ottawa, Ontario. And he says, change management, executives will feel threatened if software is suggesting or recommending decisions. Plus, won't that diminish executives' decision-making muscles? What's your reaction to that?
Probably yes. And then,
well, the threatened part for sure, right?
Yeah. And regardless, I would argue that the best companies, the companies that will be outperforming the vast majority of the other companies, will be the ones that will be able to really automate that decision loop, that like execution, decision learning cycle as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, it's about speed of execution, right? And to which degree you can adjust to new market conditions, new strategic decisions, right? Right now, at an executive level, you're tweaking your strategy on a quarterly basis at QBR. At some point in time, will that happen on a weekly basis because of software? Maybe.
Right. So I guess like the interesting part to me in that comment or observation is the threatened part, right? And I think that's obvious and intuitive, right? Like change leads to fear and threat in general, but isn't dealing with that and coping with that and finding a way to add value kind of the secret to succeeding?
Yes. And I think would be also generational change to some degree. You see that new generations are more comfortable with technology, being more embedded with technology, being, owning less and letting technology do more.
Right.
While composing this deck and this talk track, I was thinking back to Google, going back to the consumer angle, right? Once upon a time, you would go to school to no answer to things. And now Google does that. So it's not about knowing the answer. It's about knowing how to get the best answer the fastest when you need it. And I think that to some degree applies to this, more business related side of the equation for like a few
100%.
years from now.
100%. Well, listen, on that note, we're at perfectly at time. Just so everybody's aware for the format, we're giving everybody a few minutes between sessions for whatever needs. Go grab yourself a coffee or a snack. But our next session will begin at almost exactly 4 minutes from now. We have 4 stages. You'll see the navigation to your left. Feel free to pick and choose the stage that you find most interesting. Definitely, like Heather from Ottawa, who's contributed in the comments, please feel free to do so. We'd love to hear from you, and certainly hope that you find value and entertainment in hot takes. So thanks for joining, and see everybody in about 4 minutes.
Excited to get this on the road. Thank you so much, everyone.